Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is from Maj Mahalla Tija. Uttam Janam Suthan hai Vasa, Satgur Sevai kar mahe udasa. Har rang rahe sada rang rate, har ras man triptavaniya. Aao wari jio wari, ਪੜ ਬੁਝ ਮਨ ਵਸਾਵਣਿਆ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਪੜੈ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਸਲਾਹੈ ਦਰ ਸੱਚੇ ਸੋਭਾ ਪਾਵਣਿਆ ਰਹਾਉ ਅਲਖ ਅਪਿਓ ਹਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਮਾਏ ਉਪਾਇ ਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਪਾਇਆ ਨ ਜਾਏ ਅਲਖ ਅਪਿਓ ਹਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਮਾਏ ਉਪਾਇ ਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਪਾਇਆ ਜਾਏ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਭੇਟੈ ਨਦਰੀ ਮੇਲ ਮਿਲਾਵਣਿਆ ਦੂਜੇ ਭਾਏ ਪੜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੁੱਝੈ ਤ੍ਰਿਬਿਦ ਮਾਇਆ ਕਾਰਣ ਲੁੱਝੈ ਤ੍ਰਿਬਿਦ ਬੰਧਨ ਟੂਟੇ ਹੈ ਗੁਰ ਸਬਦੀ ਮੁਕਤ ਕਰਾਵਣਿਆ ਇਹ ਮਨ ਚੰਚਲ ਵਸ ਨ ਆਵੈ ਦੁਬਦਾ ਲਾਗੈ ਦਹਿ ਦਿਸ ਧਾਵੈ ਬਿਖ ਕਾ ਕੀੜਾ ਬਿਖ ਮਹਿਰਾਤਾ ਬਿਖ ਹੀ ਮਾਹੇ ਸਮਾਵਣਿਆ ਹਾਉ ਕਰੇ ਤਾ ਆਪ ਸੁਣਾਏ ਬਹੁ ਕਰਮ ਕਰੇ ਕਿਛ ਥਾਏ ਨ ਪਾਏ ਤੁਝ ਤੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਕਛੂ ਨ ਹੋਵੈ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸੁਹਾਵਣਿਆ ਉਪਜੈ ਪਚੇ ਹਰ ਬੂਝੈ ਨਾਹੀ ਅਨ ਦਿਨ ਦੂਜੇ ਭਾਏ ਫਿਰਾਹੀ ਮਨਮੁਖ ਜਨਮ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਬਿਰਥਾ ਅੰਤ ਗਿਆ ਪਛੋਤਾਵਣਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਪਰਦੇਸ ਸਿਗਾਰ ਬਣਾਏ ਮਨਮੁਖ ਅੰਧ ਐਸੇ ਕਰਮ ਕਮਾਏ ਹਲਤ ਨ ਸੋਭਾ ਪਲਤ ਨ ਢੋਈ ਬਿਰਥਾ ਜਨਮ ਗਵਾਵਣਿਆ ਹਰ ਕਾ ਨਾਮ ਕਿਨ ਵਿਰਲੇ ਜਾਤਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਗੁਰ ਕੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਪਛਾਤਾ ਅੰਦਿਨ ਭਗਤ ਕਰੇ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤੀ ਸਹਿਜੇ ਹੀ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਵਣਿਆ Composition of the third Nanak, Guru Amar Das. Exalted is that life, he says, which is lived in congregation with the Gur Enlightener. Uttam Janam Suthan hai Vasa. And with Gur guidance, such a life remains untouched by the passions. In this way, non-attachment is practiced within the mind, untouched by the passions. Satguru Seva, by serving the Guru, that is following the teachings of the Guru, kar mahi udasa. So the instruction to the Sikh is to practice a form of indifference while being in the world, by being in the family. So this is being in the world but not being off it. That is the kind of life that the Guru is directing us towards. And we achieve that by devotion to self-knowledge, because self-knowledge then fills us with love. Har rang rahe sada rang rate. And when the mind is filled with the love of self-knowledge and self-knowledge, the mind becomes satiated. In other words, its thirst, the trishna as it is called, is slaked. It's calmed down. And that is self-realization. Salutations and submissions, the Guru says, how wari jio wari, to those who have through study and reflection assimilated the teachings of the Guru. How wari jio wari, pad buj man vasavanaya. So here, pad, to read, to recite, buj, to reflect, so that it brings you discernment. Bujna is discerning. It is not just accumulation of information, the padana. That has to be noted. It is in order to develop bujna, to buj, intuitive awareness. And then through Guru wisdom, something else also happens. The mind cultivates the excellences of self-knowledge. And then, of course, Gurmukh Pade Har Naam Salahe. Then what happens? Dar Satcha Sobha Pavanaya. Now, literally translated, this means that it finds a place of honor in the court or the domain of the self. Dar Satcha. So what that means is it finds acceptance. It coheres with the self at that point. When you travel to that realm of consciousness, then you cohere with it. Then you find out that it is really inherent in you. Alakh apeo har reha samay. Now, alakh apeo, the absolute and the intangible. That is the Har Self. Har Reha Samay. So what is absolute and what is intangible, what we cannot see with our senses, is inherent in everything. So behind the diversity of all creation is the unseen source of creativity. And it cannot be found through any effort. Upay na kiti paya jaye. So how do you perceive it or sense it? Well, the Guru says, Kirpa kare, ta satgur pete, nadri mel milavanaya. Through the benevolence of the Guru and the vision that he provides, the direction that the Guru provides, then union with the self is at all possible. What that means is that intuitive awareness that we have to develop is possible only through the instruction of the Guru. Duje pae pade nahi bujjai, tribid maya karan lujjai. Now here's the problem with not following the Guru. Duje pae can be read in one of two ways. Duje pae could mean ideas that are not consistent with Gurmat, or the ideas that stress external practices, because remember the self is within. So duja is the other. But duja also refers to our Mayic existence in what is called the Tribid Maya. The creation that we are in has a triad of three primary qualities that combine in various permutations and combinations to create and to move and to stall all activity. Tribid Maya Karan Lujja, and it catches us. Our ego is trapped in the movement of this Tribid Maya. Within these three, they are Sato, Tamo, and Rajas, which is lucidity, movement, and inertia. They come together and grab this, and the self moves with them, the ego self. So Tribid is really a bandhan. Tribid bandhan tute. You have to break that bondage. How do you do that? Gur sabdi mukat karamanya. So the way to read this is also, if good wisdom is approached with duplicity, duje pae, then discernment of the self cannot develop. So your motivation is also important. Why are you approaching the Guru? Because of the influence of the triad, the three-pronged Maya, which is the pull and tug of worldly existence, the individual struggles with the shackles of self-conceit, because the ego is also a product of the Tribid. That is the Tribid bandhan. That is really the bondage. So if you are coming to the Guru to satisfy the desires of the ego, then you're not going to really profit or gain anything from it. Then it'll just become another form of a ritual, if you will. So through the utterance, through the sabad, you can find bondage of the ego, but you must approach the Guru with the proper attitude. And then the mind, you see, is very fickle and it is uncontrollable. Eh man chanchal Vasa na aave. Uncontrollable. Dubada lage. Again, this is a function of the fact that it is bound to this three-pronged Maya. It becomes double-minded, dubida lage, and it runs in all 10 directions. Dahat this, tave. So that's the situation with all of us. And that becomes bikaka kida. The ego and an egocentric existence is referred to as living in poison as a creature of poison. Bikaka kida bikamerata. What that means is, and of course, it suggests that it lives in poison and perishes in poison. Bikamerata, bikhi maya pachavane. What that means is that living an egocentric existence creates a great deal of poisonous, of toxicity. And so you live a life that is toxic with anxieties, with stress, and with frustrations. And then, how kare ta aap janaye, that is an egocentric existence. Such a mind draws attention by proclaiming itself all the time. It's that me syndrome. It engages in many a rite and ritual, but to no avail. Bo karam karai kich thai na pai. Naturally, we've talked about this. Tujte bahar kichu na hove, bakshe sabad suhavanaya. Here is the punchline. Addressing the Supreme Self, Guru Amar Das says, nothing happens outside your writ. Through the beautiful sabad, we find your grace. So that is the way out of this Tribid Maya. So again, a reminder to the individual that you are born of the Supreme, Upajay Pache, and yet you don't discern the Supreme in yourself. Harbujje nahi. Day and night, you're following or chasing sensory experience. The other, duje pae fire. So that is what causes regrets in our lives. And then what happens is, in the end, manmukh janam gaya hai birtha, ant gaya pachotamaniya. You leave with regrets. So therefore, do not perform rituals blindly. Manmukh and aise karma kamaye. Do not do anything blindly. Do it with discernment. Do it with knowledge. Do it with skill. Because doing things without discernment, without skill, without knowledge, will only bring you disrepute. Halat na soba palat na toi, here or in the future. So you're like a bride all decked up for an absent husband. Birtha janam gavaya. Pir pardes cigar banaya. Your husband is absent, but you're all decked up. In other words, life is wasted. So it is the rare one, actually, who realizes the self. Har ka naam kine virle jata, through the means of the Guru. Pure Gur ke sabad pachata. And such a one is immersed in the devotion and dedication of bhakti. This is bhakti. Andin bhakti kare din rati. And finds spontaneously sahaj well-being and comfort. Sukh pavanaya. The Guru concludes by reminding us that the same self is present in everyone. Sab mein varta eko soi, gurmukh virla bujhe koi. Even this discernment is reserved for the rare individuals. How hard it is for us to see or to even acknowledge that there are people, that everybody else has the same essence as us. Imagine if we came to this realization, there is no way that we could ill-treat anybody. There is no way that we would hate anybody. So think about that. Nanak naam ratte jan sohe kar kirpa aap milavanaya. So that is why Guru Amar Das begs for self-knowledge, because it will bring you this realization that the same self which is in you is in everything in creation. And that will obviously change the way you look at life, the way you look at people, the way you look at yourself, and the relationship between everything. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.